Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm so excited to see you guys this morning. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Hey, I'm so excited to see you guys. I'm so excited to see you guys. What a juicy conversation. And I love that we were just talking about focus because I'm just going to lean in a little bit more. And today, I'm going to be talking about becoming the principle of your principles. So, focus is a key piece of that, but becoming the principle of your principles. All right, that's our topic for today. We're going to have a power half an hour, so 30 minutes to lean all the way into this topic right here. Let me just back up just a little bit before we jump right into it. I am Lolita E. Walker. I'm a certified life leadership and executive coach. I'm a power speaker, podcaster, author, poet, mommy, you name it. I'm doing all of the things. But listen, for this power half an hour, I come to you with intention, and I love to leave you with what I like to call coaching cocktails and conversations. So, coaching is where I leave you with a couple nuggets just to challenge your thinking. Cocktails is really all about celebrating the greatness of who it is that you are with the cheers. It's not about what you're sipping on. And then conversations is the juiciness that we will have. And so we're here with the live audience. We're here with Facebook, Coaching Cocktails and Conversation, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're also here with Breakfast with Champions. And this topic right here, you guys, is I was prepping for today and getting my thoughts around this metaphor for today, becoming the principle of your principles. I really got into it. So I have a lot of juiciness to share with you. And the first thing I want to ask you to do is go ahead and shake it up and grab your coaching cocktails and coaching cocktails and conversations journal or sheet of paper so you could really lean into this with me. So this is about becoming the principle of your principles. Well, the first thing we got to do is just really think through the definitions of them because I want to make sure that we're set on the same foundation. So when you think of principle, and this is the PAL, right? Principle. It's the person, think about it, who has leading and controlling authority in a position over an organization or institution. I want you to think about a school. Think about the principal at a school. They have this decision-making authority. They are in a controlling environment in that authority position that sits at the top. They are it, right? They are the head. And then the principle, LE, is this fundamental truth that serves as your foundation. We talk about foundations a lot during my segments. And so this is about becoming the principle, the authority, the decision maker over your principles, the foundation, the fundamental foundation in the system of your beliefs and your behaviors. And so now is the best time in order to really think about how I'm going to recommit myself to becoming the principle of my principles. And I started thinking about that because not too long ago, well, maybe about 6 months ago, I guess that's not too long ago, we talked the segment around your values. And my company has values. Your company has values. Me as a person, Lolita E. Walker as an individual has values. And I can go through everyone who's tuned in today. You have these personal values, this fundamental foundation. And so the reason why it's important for us to define what it is we're talking about is because I want you to imagine you as the principal, the leading authority, the controller, the decision maker over your principles, this foundation to which you stand upon. Right. And I'm going to go through these three aspects of you becoming this principle. But as I do that, I'm going to talk about my values as well, because I want you to think about what yours are. And I'll be honest with you, is just this week, a couple of days ago, I had to really check myself on my values because I felt as though I started to compromise them. I started to compromise one of my core values, one of the principles, and I was no longer the principal of my own principles. So I'm coming to you today to remind you that you are the decision maker. You are the person that has this leading authority over the principles in your life. You make them, you shape them, and then you leverage them to keep on moving. So whether it's your life, your work, or your home, I say that all the time, that I want you to remember that you are that principal. So today we're sitting in the principal's chair. We're sitting in our principal's chair, and our topic is becoming the principle of your principles. Okay. So now that we're grounded, if you're watching me, then you can see the definitions that's right on my screen right here. And I want to remind you that this principle, the PAL, is the person who's leading and controlling authority or position in an organization, an institution, or group. right? Today, we're thinking about a school. We're thinking about you sitting in the principal's office and you are that principal. Then the principle, PLE, is that fundamental truth that serves as your foundation for your beliefs, your belief system, and then therefore your behavior. And so now let's get into where I was, and I want you to be there too, because I always talk about thinking through this pictorial image. Last week we did some soul work and I had you drawing this umbrella. Remember, this week we're really talking about you sitting as the principal inside of your organization, where your organization can be self, your organization can be your work, your organization can be the essence and the value of you standing on that principle. So imagine being the principal of a school, right? I mentioned that earlier. Imagine you're this decision maker, because I want you to be there with me in your own life, the author, the figure, the one who sets the rules, right? So the question then you might be asking, especially given our topic today, is how do you now become the principal of your principles? So here are a few nuggets to challenge your thinking, just a little teeny bit. And so I love that Dr. Jeannie has already come in and said, Lolita is a leading principle of principles. Oh, thank you. And she is reminding us how to spell these words too. You can't get any better than that, Dr. Jeannie. I'm trying to do it all inside this power half an hour. So here's a few nuggets to challenge your thinking. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to identify your principles. Now, there's three of these that we're going to go through on how you become this principle, but you're going to identify what your principles are. So ask yourself, what are the core values that guide my life? That guide my business, that guide my home? Honesty, integrity, kindness. I want you to write those down. Like, what are those things that guide you? Identify what these principles are. Because how do you become a decision maker in any space if you are not clear, right? Clarity plus confidence equals commitment. And we want to commit today to sitting right there as the principal of your principles. And in order to do that, we must first identify what it is that they are. So I want to give you a minute to kind of think through that. What are your principles? Now, each of our principles has the power to stand on its own. However, when they're together, when they're linked together as a collective, they help to guide our daily actions and our behaviors. They help us to exceed our personal and professional goals, our commitments to whom? To ourselves, to our customers, to our clients, to our community. Therefore, it's important to recognize what these principles are, and then they help shape and reshape us because, like I said earlier this week, I had to be reminded of one of my core principles, and I was not living up to that principle. I wasn't standing on top of it. I moved out of the principal seat. I moved out. And sometimes we give up our own power with not even recognizing it, but that's why reflection is so important. That's why refocusing is so important. That's why recognizing, like, hey, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to take a time back and to pause because there's absolute power in it. So as you think about identifying your power and identifying your principles, I want to talk to you about the principles and the values that guide Walker and Walker Enterprises and also guide me as the CEO. So of course they're in an acronym, guys. You know, I love a fancy little acronym and it helps me to remember. That's really what it's all about. And it helps me to also help my clients to remember things. So this is in values. And if you go to lolitawalker.com/values, you'll also see those posted there. And so the first thing I want you to think about, or I want to share with you while you think about this time, this is like the commercial break while you think about your own values and your own principles, because today we're talking about how to become this principle of your principles. I want to share with you values, and there's 6 in this word values. The first is velocity for me. We are objects moving at a speed that propels us further, faster, and farther. We sit in the power of our pause and then we boldly shift accordingly. This is written on my website, but as I thought about what my values were, the first thing I thought about was velocity. We're moving at a speed to propel us further. Now, don't forget, for my business, it's a coaching and consultancy. So I also speak, I also bring out the greatness in you. So this makes sense, is that I'm helping to propel you further and farther. So if you sit in the power of your pause and then you boldly shift accordingly, I remind you, my company reminds you, the folks that are here remind you that we are allergic to average. We help you dare to leap beyond complacency. So, of course, velocity would be one of my core principles, one of my foundations, one of my core values that my company sits upon, that I sit upon. It's that I am moving at a speed that's going to propel me further. I want you to think about, what are your values? What are your core principles? That's the activity that we're doing right now as I share what mine are. My second is about awareness, alignment, and adjustment. Now, this one right here is pretty tough. This is about us taking inventory of our surroundings. And so within my company, Walker and Walker Inventory, Lord, Walker and Walker Enterprises, we take inventory of our surroundings to ensure that we are aligned as we move forward. As I work with my clients, as I work with groups, as I work with organizations and the people within them, then I make sure that we are aligned in this thing as we move forward. Because why? Clarity plus confidence equals commitment. But here's the part that's so tough. Sometimes after you admit where the gaps are, you need to adjust. And sometimes if you're focused on the how you're doing things, you'll miss the blessing in the adjustment. I want you to hear that right now, because as you're coming up with what your thoughts are, what your own principles are, as we become the principle of our principles, I want you to think about the adjustments. And sometimes they're very difficult. Remember, I told you this week, I kind of was shaking a little bit and I said, oh my gosh, wait a minute, that's not one of my core principles. Actually, it's opposite of that. How am I allowing myself to be treated in that manner? But I got to make the necessary adjustments, and sometimes that's a little tough to do. But what do? You become that principal and have to make those hard decisions. Remember, I reminded you, like a principal in a school, like a principal of an organization, you make those decision making, controlling decisions, because you are it. You are it. And you're standing upon your principles. So as you think of what yours are, and I look forward to opening it up so I can find out what are some of the principles that guide you, I want to share with you the ones that guide me and the ones that guide my business. And so I talked to you about velocity. I talked to you about awareness, alignment, and adjustment. And now I'm talking to you about leadership through love. And all of this is coming because the first step in becoming the principal of your own principles is actually identifying what those principles are. So that's how we got to this place right here. My L is all about leadership through love, because my company, I believe and trust that we are love. I am love. Each of my values, very much each of your values and your core principles, can become an affirmation. It is, I am leadership through love. I am velocity. I am awareness. I am. The next one is unshakable and undeniable. They become your I am because they become you. They are you. And that's how you got the fundamentals of where it is that you are. You are these things. So I want to remind you that in any stretch of your imagination, sometimes in the power of your pause, you got to come back to what your core values are. I know that my company is rooted in faith, and we show up in the promise that we embody greatness already. So through the intensity of this human connection between me and my own clients, right? Then that connection is there, whether it's you're reading my book or you're listening to me on a podcast or you're listening to the audible of my poetry. Whatever it is that you're doing, then I bring a piece of me into you so that now I can help you to leap further and farther. It's leadership through love. The next one that I have for you all today, again, you can find it at lolitawalker.com/values, is unshakable and undeniable. Remember, I told you that these can become your affirmation. So I am, we are unshakable and undeniable. These things like honesty, integrity, and communication are unshakable and undeniable traits of not only my company, but myself and ourselves. Anybody who's working with me or for me, they govern our movements. And guess what? These declare a definitive no to any misalignments. And sometimes all money ain't good money. Sometimes everybody in your life, you recognize at some point that this person really isn't here in order to help to build me. They're here to leverage me for something that is on their own personal time and mantra. They're using me. Now, sometimes you want to leverage other people, but it's in the space of how you all can help each other mutually. Or you talk to them and say, hey, guess what? I know one of your core strengths is this, and this is where I'm going. I would love it if you could help me. Is that something you'll be able to do? Right? But not continuing to come back, continuing to come back, continuing to come back without giving. Remember, I had a podcast episode. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's in season 1. I'm in season 3 right now, but I feel like it's in season 1, and I talked about this notion of giving away your power. And I want you all to think about this here. So, as you're thinking about your principles, remember, as I'm speaking to you, I want you to remember that you are the principal, the leading authority that's sitting in the seat in the principal's office and standing upon the foundation of who it is that you are. So, I am unshakable, undeniable, and then excitement and exploration, because there's fun in every single thing that I do. Again, these are the values that govern me, my core principles. And so when I think about excitement and exploration, my company operates in a renewed action every single day, right? Stress does come. And as I told you, I have a coaching and consultancy. So through change, which is what I guide people through, then we thrive in meeting you where you are, because everybody is at a different point in their lives, including me. Oh, I love this. There's a Facebook user who said, this is so good. Break it down, Principal Walker. I love that. You guys crack me up. I love it. I love it. And then that last principle of mine, before we go to the second aspect of becoming your principal, is, for me, is serenity. Oh my gosh, serenity. Who wants chaos all around them? Not me. I know you don't. Peace and gratitude are at my center, or at your center, is at the center of my company. So when we combine these with what I call AWA, for those of you all who have been around for a while with me, I talk about AWA, your abilities, your willingness, and your action. Then you start to unleash your most creative and intentional self. I choose to be free. I choose the spaces that allow me to be free. And then when that's no longer nurturing me, nourishing me, and then I need to move. When it's not nourishing me, then I'm not nourishing you. And so it's probably a relationship or a situationship that both of us are not thriving from or growing from. Learning, growing, and thriving is key in order to propel. And so therefore I choose my most be free spaces. And if you've never heard my Be Free Creed, you gotta go back and listen to it, because there's power in it. It becomes my affirmation that I say daily. Absolutely. And so I want to remind you that that piece of what I took you through, of my core foundation, my core principles that govern my company, and then that govern me. I want you to think about what are yours. I want you to think about what are yours. And so in this last 10 minutes that I have with you today, I want to share. I told you I had 3 steps today. So that was step number 1. And I gave you 6 bullets underneath. Step number 2 of us becoming a principal of our principles is standing firm on those principles. So first we identify what they were, what they are, and now we're going to stand firm on them, period. Now that's pretty tough too, guys, because sometimes it's the decision that you have to make, and you're going to be the only. And it's okay, because you got to remember that these are mine. Like, this is the crux of who it is that I am. This is the crux of how it is that I'm running this ship right here. And so when I allow cracks to come into my foundation, and we have all types of water seeping through, anybody can get through. Any noun can get through, a person, place, or thing, and they can mess it all up. So this water that's coming can actually cause harm. Remember last week I talked to you about this umbrella and your capacity. And so if water starts to sink your ship, then now we have a problem. We have a bigger problem than what we started off with. And so I want you to stand firm on your principles. Once you've identified what they are, then stand firm in them. Don't let external influence sway you from what you believe in. And what I don't have here that you don't see is, sometimes don't allow your mind to play tricks on you, because it's your core foundation. You have them for a reason, which is why the power in it. This is a secret right here that I'm telling y'all, the juiciness right here. The secret right here is that you came up with them and you already demonstrate them. That's how they became values and principles at the first place, right? Absolutely. You've already done it. So even though it feels hard inside of this moment, I want you to continue to push through. Why? Because you've already demonstrated that you've been here and that you conquered this thing. I love this. So, oh, that was Jackie. Hey, Jackie Underwood. And then someone else says, oh, Evelyn, good morning, good morning, good morning. Love the breakdown of connections of values of one's principles. Have work ahead of me to be done. I love that because sometimes we have to recognize it. And it's not until like there's some words there that trigger you that say, okay, okay, I got this thing. Okay, yep, I've been going in the wrong direction, but I need to come back. And so there is where we are today. So I took you through step one, which was identifying what your principles were. I gave you some examples of what mine were. Absolutely. I love this. Hey, Ramon. Ramon said, come on, Queen. Ramon, I love it. And if you all haven't gone to zoneofgenius.com, I want you to do that because Ramon is doing some amazing things over there. Yes. And so the second thing was standing firm in your principles. Okay. And then the third thing I want to leave you with today is make decisions based on your principles. You know what they are, you've identified what they are, right? You're standing firm in your principles because now you're the principal. You have the title on your door. You're acting in that capacity as the authority and the controlling figure of your life, your work, your home. And now you're making decisions that's based on those principles. So I want you to use your principles as a guide when you make those decisions. When something doesn't align with your principles, it's okay to respect the word no. And here's the thing, you got to have a strong community around you. You got to be able to talk about what's happening in your life because I'll tell you, remember I was talking to you about, oh my gosh, I'm compromising one of my principles this week is because I decided to call a friend and I was talking about this situation and what I was planning on doing. And she really challenged me and was like, hey, and it really had me starting to think about, oh my gosh, this is really compromising one of the principles that actually is me, that's at my foundation. And so if it's taking a small piece of you, that means the water is coming through your foundation and it has the opportunity to just compromise who it is you are, take you off focus of where it is that you're going, not helping to nourish you, which means you're not helping to nourish anyone else inside of your community as well. So sometimes it's your community that's so strong that is able to talk to you and be like, yeah, I hear you, but let me remind you of who it is that you told me you were. Now, if you want to go down this path, that's fine, but I'm here to just let you know that this is what I hear and this is what I see. So here's some questions that I have for you, and then you make the decision. You are the principal. You are the principal. You see how that came together right there? Thought that was pretty cool myself. Hey, Kanika, good morning. Kanika said, definitely good nuggets to think on. Yeah, that's the key right there. Is that coaching cocktails and conversations, and Kanika knows this too because she's always been around, is that coaching is all about leaving you with some nuggets to challenge your thinking. And here's the thing. If the 3 steps aren't for you, just take one. If they're not for you, then make sure you share, you like it, you move it on to somebody else who this might be that place and space for them. So cocktails is not so much about what you're sipping on. It's more about giving you a cheers. And so my cheers to each and every one of you all today is here's to becoming the principal of your principles. Here's to standing firm in your beliefs. And here's to making decisions that align with your principles and your core values. I hope during this 30 minutes, before I open it up for the last couple of minutes, that you were able to really think through what are my core principles. And if you don't have them written down, make sure you do. Make sure you do and put them somewhere where they're visible, talk about them, live in them, align to what they are, and make sure that they are helping to guide you. I hope this was really helpful for you today. So I want to open up the floor for some conversations. We have a live audience today. So if you are ready to share your thoughts and experiences, how have you applied a principle in your life and has it guided your decision? Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Real quickly, first of all, thank you for this amazing segment and for the steps. I mean, I've had the great opportunity of experiencing you as my coach, and so I understand this. I mean, you have truly helped me to understand these principles and core values and the core strengths. I mean, you've done so much, honestly, in a year that I've had a chance to experience you, Dr. Walker. And I understand this. I'm sitting here trying to figure out what part of this I do.
Oh no, Jackie, you went out. What part of this you what? Oh no. Can you guys hear Jackie? Oh no. Oh, Jackie, I can't hear you any longer. It was getting so good. Can anybody else hear Jackie? Okay. So Jackie, I'm not able to hear you for some strange reason. Oh, you're on mute. That's why. Okay, so maybe something happened and Jackie can no longer speak, but I want to keep on going, guys, because we only have a couple of more minutes. And so I want to say hey to Treva. Good morning. She said, powerful. Thank you, beautiful. Well, thank you for being here. Was there anyone else who wanted to share? We have 3 more minutes. I thought I heard somebody, but if not, I just want to do a recap really quickly for those of you all who might have gotten here a little late. So I'm Lolita E. Walker, and today we talked about how to become the principal of your principles. That's what we talked about today. How to become a principal of your principles. I defined the 2 principles that we're talking about because it's very important to understand the foundation to which we're standing. So I talked about the principle, right? The leading authority, this controlling authority that has a position. In this case, is the position in governance over yourself, but even at home, at work, at life, altogether. I wanted you to imagine you being a principal at the principal's office. Okay, that's what. In you being in control over this body. And so you choose the body that you want to talk about today. And so we leaned in to talk about 3 different aspects. The first is identifying what your principles were. Okay. And I took you through the principles that govern myself and my business, Walker and Walker Enterprises. And then I took you through step 2, which is standing firm on your principles, which is oftentimes tough to do. And then lastly, making decisions that were based on your principles. Now, we gave some shout outs along the way, of course, but we also, oh, this is interesting. So, all right. So one community can no longer hear me. That's quite interesting, but you all could still hear me. Dr. Jeannie said you can't hear me on Clubhouse, which makes sense, which is why I couldn't hear. Oh, which is why I couldn't hear that. That's so strange. And then, but you could hear me on the other platform. So let me just go through the other platforms and then just see.
Was it?
That was now it's back. Thanks, Jackie. I don't know what happened. I couldn't hear you. Can you guys hear me now? Oh no. But anyway, thank you, Jackie. And thank you, Ramon, for jumping in. Thank you, Dr. Jeannie, for even letting me know. I was just continuing. But I appreciate all of the things. See, this is why technology is great because people can let you know. Folks can't hear you, Lolita, but they're keeping the show going. Thank you so much, Jackie and Ramon. Jackie, the piece that I stopped hearing was oh, where was it? I don't know, Jackie. You were saying that you love the coaching sessions, but I'm glad that you were able to talk to the people. So thank you very much. Uh-huh. Okay. Oh, thank you so much.
Really, Lita helped you. She's that good. But I said, Jackie, tell us how good she is. And so I wanted Jackie to really tell us how good she is.
Oh, thank you so much. No, I appreciate that because you know what, Ramon? Sometimes people are always say, oh, that person's so good. And then when you ask them, but what exactly did they do? There's a gap right there. So I appreciate you challenging Jackie. And Jackie, I'm sure.
You know,
You are, I was gonna say you got a real one right there. No, I appreciate each and every one of you all. And so I'm sorry for the snafu. Thank you so much, Dr. Jeannie, for letting me know that folks couldn't hear me. But Stephen Wicks, just want to close out with this one, said, hey, Stephen, he said, sometimes you can be flattered because want to use you for talents, because folks want to use you for talents. However, not everything you are invited to will align to your principles. Yes. Get comfortable with the word no. And Stephen is coming from LinkedIn. Absolutely. And no is so tough to say sometimes because you feel like I'm going to lose this opportunity. You're so scared about what it's going to mean, what the dominoes are going to mean. But reality is your blessing is in the right now. And so saying no to others sometimes is saying yes to you and opening up doors that you don't even recognize what's behind those doors that God has already opened up for you. So I want to say thank you guys. And I'm so glad that you guys kept on going. All right. Talk to you next week.
Hey, Lolita, do you have?
No, I have plenty of time.
Can you proclaim and speak that to existence real quick? I'm gonna get to what I'm saying that, but I just want to hear you say it, like say the Lolita way.
Oh.
Proclaim that for me.
Ramon, I've already told you that it's already done. I've told you that you've already built up zoneofgenius.com. I told you that the rundown with Ramon, I already see it on TV, syndicated. I've already told you that I see the billboard already in New York, Times Square, and all of the places me driving down the street. And so not only selling it for 1, 2, and 3 times more, I'm talking about selling it to the biggest of bidders, okay? Because zoneofgenius.com is doing nothing short of giving all of the blessings to the community. You talk business, you talk life, you talk home, you talk strategy, you talk being the CEO, the celebrity CEO of your own life. So Ramon, this thing is already done, already proclaimed, already living in it. I've already seen it. Why I know you've seen it, Ramon.
Sure. She has something to do. She proclaimed, and I don't know if it was her, I don't know if it was coincidence. I'm just gonna give her credit because she's here. She said, Ramon, you have a national show. I'm sharing this with family now, right? We're a small group right now. Turns out family and friends. As you all know, USA Today has picked up. I have signed a contract to stream Rundown with Ramon, as I said. I don't know if you heard of it before.
I did.
Okay, good. And not only USA Today, but they stream, thank you all. They stream on Roku and on like 30 of the platforms. Some nobody even cares about, but Roku and others. I think even Amazon Prime. So Lolita proclaimed that. So I'm like, if Lolita did that, heck, let me just make sure that you can stay around.
Let me get in all my requests.